Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to the English room in my channel MisterMaster Yoga. This session is presented by Mandua Kota Malang, Indonesia. Madrasah hebat bermartabat. In this very special edition, we are going to learn about English for grade 10, semester 2. The topic is reported speech or indirect speech. The basic competence for this topic is analyzing and understanding the social function, concept, characteristic, and construct of reported speech. In this discussion, we used learning resources from a book by Kemendikbud, Bahasa Inggris for grade 10. You guys can open chapter 12 on page 164 through 166. There has been a lot of requests to discuss about this, and I'm really excited that I can finally discuss about this very important topic. In this session, we are going to learn about the concept of reported speech, the characteristics of reported speech, the construct and practices of reported speech. Are you guys ready? Let's get started. So what is actually a reported speech? Reported speech is a way to say or tell what someone else said or asked. Now let's imagine that there are three persons. Person 1 says something to person 2. Then person 2 tells person 3 about it. So what person 2 tells to person 3 is called reported speech. So the reported speech is also called as indirect speech. However, there is another way to say what someone else said by using the direct speech. We will see the differences later while we learn and practice through the session. Now, to have a clear understanding, we will now learn from the examples of both reported speech and direct speech. Now let's check the first example. Person 1 says, I failed my English test last week. So person 2 tells person 3 about that in two different ways, using reported speech and direct speech. So in reported speech, the sentence changed into, he said that he had failed his English test the week before. Please notice that there are some changes in the pronouns, in the verb tense, and also in the adverb. We'll discuss about that later. Okay? Now, in direct speech, we can simply say, I failed my English test last week, he said. So, there is nothing changing, but we put quotation mark before and after the sentence, plus a speech tag, he said. Now let's check the next example. Person 1 says or asked, do you always eat banana? That's a question, right? So person 1 asked person 2, do you always eat banana? Then person 2 tells to person 3 in two different ways, reported speech and direct speech. In reported speech, the questions then changed into, she asked if I always eat banana. So there is also changed in the pronouns and then in the verb tense. Okay? Now let's check the direct speech. Do you always eat banana? She asked. There is quotation mark before and after the sentence, but the sentence doesn't change at all. That's the examples of reported speech and direct speech. So from the two examples, we can learn two things. Number one, in reported speech or in indirect speech, you have to change the pronouns, the verb tense, and the adverb. Let's check the example again. I failed my English test last week. I here as the subject pronoun, okay? Failed, verb 2, which indicate simple past tense. My English test, my here is possessive pronoun, and then last week, the adverb of time. So, we changed that sentence into reported speech. It becomes, he said that he. So I, pronounce I here, changed into he. He said that he had failed. So from the word failed, or from the verb failed, verb 2, now changed into had failed. Verb 3, okay? His English test. From my English test, changed into his English test. Last week, changed into the week before. Number 2, in direct speech, you do not need to change anything. All you need to do is that adding quotation mark before and after the sentence that you quote and a speech tag, such as he said or he asked, etc. Let's check the example again. I failed my English test last week. Okay? Then when you change into direct speech, it says, I failed my English test last week, he said. No changing. You just need to put quotation mark before and after the sentence, and you have to use speech tag, he said. Okay? So, after learning from the examples, now let's summarize the characteristic and construct of reported speech. Number 1, reported speech doesn't use quotation mark. Number 2, reported speech doesn't usually repeat the sentence exactly as what the person said. Number 3, in reported speech, the pronoun, the verb tense, and the adverb of time or time expression changed. And this is really important to understand when you construct a reported speech. Now I will show you the guidelines of the changes in verb tense from direct speech to reported speech. If the verb in direct speech is in simple present, then in reported speech, the verb changed into simple past. If the verb in direct speech is in simple past, then in reported speech, it changed into past perfect or verb 3. If the verb in direct speech is in present continuous, then in reported speech, it changed into past continuous. If the verb in direct speech is in present perfect, then in reported speech, it changed into past perfect. We also use some model auxiliary, like will. If in direct speech, we have will, so in reported speech, we changed into would. If the model in direct speech is may, it changed into might in reported speech. Can changed into could. Must changed into had to. Has to or have to, imperfect, changed into had to. So that's very much the guideline you guys can refer when you want to change from direct speech into reported speech. Okay, learners, after learning about the characteristic of reported speech, now let's practice a little bit so you will have a better sense of how to change from direct speech to reported speech. I will give you some sentences in direct speech in different tenses. Your job is then to change the direct speech into reported speech. Are you guys ready? Let's start from sentence number 1. The first sentence says, "Are you busy tonight?" she asked. That's the direct speech in simple present. How is the reported speech? That's right. She asked if I was busy that night. So it changed into simple past. Next sentence or next direct speech. "I'm looking for my book," she said. That is a direct speech in present continuous. So how's the reported speech? That's right. She said that she was looking for her book. So the direct speech, which is in present continuous, changed into past continuous. Let's practice the next sentence, the next direct speech. "I failed a test last week," she said. So the direct speech is in simple past. How is the reported speech? That's right. She said that she had failed a test the week before. It changed into past perfect. Now the last practice, the direct speech says, "He said, I cannot drink coffee." That's using modal can, right? So how's the reported speech? That's right. He said that he could not drink coffee. It changed into could, modal could, from can to could. That's very much the practices. You guys did amazing job. Okay, dear learners, after learning and practicing, I really hope that you guys now have a better understanding about reported speech. If you guys use the book published by Kemendikbud, Bahasa Inggris for Grade 10, you can now open chapter 12 on page 164 through 166 to do more practices about reported speech. That's very much the wrap. Thank you so much for joining my session. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.